winners quarters. Last of the winners quarters is going to be EarlOfM versus the tops of their heads.
Yeah.
The tops of their heads. It's EarlOfM versus Dan.
Yeah, the 3 and 6 seeds, the last ones we're going to see. So far, so good. The 1, 2, and 3 seeds all respectively, or I'm sorry, 1, 2, and 4 seeds all respectively moving on. Dan looking to make it a clean sweep for the top 4 seeds in the winners' semis at this fairly stacked Ignite today, with Seth making his return to the scene. Haven't seen him in a hot minute. So these guys starting off a little bit early. Marth Mario, pretty even matchup. Just kind of in general, like, you know, Mario can kind of combo Marth, but not as well as he'd like to.
Yeah.
Both of them have insane kill power early on, so it's a really big spacing game.
Ooh,
that shield breaker looked dangerous.
Yeah, that shield's crying now, although at this point it's pretty much, yeah, fully recharged. So Dan doing a good job of kind of staying on the defense end there. And just and again, EarlOfM tried for the guard break, but not going to happen. Yeah, they're both just kind of swinging at each other right now. The one problem with Mario that has always kind of been prominent is that Marth's disjoints. He's one of those characters where, because Marth has such a large disjoint on all of his moves, it's naturally kind of hard for Mario to get in and get any sort of like sensible damage unless it's off of a hard read. If he like capitalizes off of a mistake that EarlOfM makes in neutral, then that's his signal to go in and get the majority of his damage. So far, Dan has been doing a really good job of kind of staying in EarlOfM's face and just kind of keeping the pressure on to the point where it's, you know, been fairly back and forth even between the two.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Really, the only disjoint of any kind Mario has is that that forward smash, where the fireball hitbox can be a little bit farther out. But that's pretty much the equivalent of it. Or I'm sorry, the extent of it, which is not nearly equivalent to most of Marth's disjointed hitbox hitboxes you can throw out with that sword.
Yeah, and that just kind of goes to the even nature of the matchup that you kind of mentioned. Is that, like, yes, Marth has the disjoints to kind of keep Mario at bay, but once Mario is in, Marth really doesn't have a whole lot of options to kind of shake Mario off in terms of close quarters. He has a couple of things that can, like, stagger him, but if Mario is in, he can get a lot of damage really consistently. And so far, they're both playing very, very, very patient. Like, Dan only goes in when he knows that he's not going to get hit by anything that EarlOfM is throwing out. He's starting to kind of read his options in neutral and just kind of work around EarlOfM's buttons instead of just trying to force anything.
Yeah, these guys staying primarily even. Fortunately for EarlOfM, he's actually been able to maintain a pretty decent amount of stage control for the majority of the second stock, and was able to keep it even after that first one. There's a little bit of a dangerous interaction there off stage. He
had that air dodge read. He was just a little bit slow on the execution. That would have been, that probably would have put Dan close to death. And tried for it again, but acknowledged that he would have been way too low by the time that he would have got back to the stage. Back throw. Once again, even with rage, up throw is really not going to be on the table, like right there. Like, realistically, Marth don't throw out up throw until Mario is at least 150, because that's what it's going to kill. But that,
he got grabbed on the power shield, right on the get up. That was the worst timeline for EarlOfM.
Yeah, that was just, all of it was just the wrong option there. Like, it was very easy to see Dan was ready for it. And, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, you always got to be cognizant of that. Like, if you are working with that much rage, you also got to, like, keep your space from Mario, especially on Smashville, because all of it is just, like, you know, don't get grabbed.
Yeah, especially, like you were saying, you know, Marth was getting close, dangerously close to that up throw percentage. But, you know, Mario getting a back throw kill at, like, 100 just because he was on the edge of Smashville. So they're just going to run it right back. Not a particular surprise. That game was very close.
So, a bit of a slobber knocker to start off of this second game. Just kind of swinging at each other, not really going for anything too crazy, just small little combos here and there. Nair landing on stage, getting backstage control. That's one thing that Dan has been doing a good job of landing consistently all night, is that anytime that he gets on, he uses like falling Nair to get back on stage and then just kind of converts off of that in order for him to get full stage control. I'm trying for some sort of read on the way down there, but coming up with nothing.
All right, just missing on the back air there. Dan able to, he's very good at double air dodging and like timing it perfectly. So like when you try to sneak in between the two with your hit, it's so hard to hit him. There's a little bit of hype going back right behind these two guys. Jeez.
Dark J is also in the building, so that's like where a lot of that hype is coming from. All right, by ledge. EarlOfM kind of fading back and going with the forward air, just kind of getting Dan away from his position on ledge.
Yeah, EarlOfM has been very non-committal this set with a lot of his, like, he's gotten a good jab block, but he's never gone for, like, jab forward smash early percents. He's just going, like, jab and F tilt.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of playstyle that you have to really play against Dan, because just you need something that can offset that kind of aggression that Dan brings to the table. Because, you know, normally if you're trying to play at that same aggressive style, Dan can outrun most people. But if you're playing defensive, then it pays off, especially if it's a character with the nature of like Mario or something like that.
Yeah, the only difficulty with that mentality, though, is like if you do it for too long, you're never going to be able to actually finish stocks. Like he's hoping to just keep swinging away, and eventually Mario will die to something. And now look how far behind he's fallen. Dan got a 81% of extra credit almost in a row there, as that up throw is going to finish off Mario's first stock.
All right, now EarlOfM with a good amount of rage on him just needs to be careful and not really fall into any of Dan's traps. Slowly but surely kind of fighting his way back. Nice spacing on that forward tilt.
Yeah, this chip away damage, real important.
I like this attempted stagger on that side B, but the thing is that I feel like as soon as you kind of... Oh, no.
Landed on stage. Dan was ready for it all day. And that is going to do it for EarlOfM. In winner's side, he is going to be headed to a fight for the 9th place game as he gets knocked out of